I call to order the budget hearing on the FY26 proposed Minuteman budget. I'd like a motion to adopt remote participation as written in the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Very good. Roll call vote, Pam?
Pam Nurse Acton, yes.
Linda Hervison Bolton, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Maggie Sharon Dover, yes.
Colleen Cabral Lancaster, yes.
Sharon Musto Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stuhlin, Needham, yes.
Alice Lucasto, yes.
Very good. Without further ado, let's go straight to the reason we're here. Heidi Driscoll and Nikki Andrade, I believe, are going to present our budget formally. So,
Thank you. Nikki is going to share our slide. Let me make sure she can. Okay, great. So I'd like to welcome everybody here. Thank you for joining us for our public presentation of the 2026 budget recommendation. I want to make sure that I thank everyone who's been a part of this process so far. Our teachers, our staff, our leads, our administrators, our capital subcommittee with work from Michelle Resendiz, our finance committee with, of course, Nikki Andrade and the entire committee for supporting us through this whole process. Okay, next slide. So we do have some updates. Since our last budget presentation on January 14th, the governor's budget was released. So overall, we have an increase of a little over $47,000 in Chapter 70 state aid. In Chapter 71 regional transportation, we have an overall increase of $93,485. The revised numbers will impact the town assessments in a way that I think people will be very pleased from. They decreased overall member town assessment, went from 3.34% to 2.79%. Next slide, please.
I also just wanted to jump in and mention that we updated based on the Chapter 70 spreadsheet, the minimum required contribution for each town.
Thank you, Nikki.
Absolutely.
So this is something else we've been waiting on, our transportation bid. We actually did receive 2 bids on January 17th. A recommendation will be brought to the Finance Committee on February 3rd, and we will have a discussion and vote from the School Committee on February 11th. We are asking for a 5-year contract. That's the RFP we put out. The budget impact based on the bids is that we'll be able to reallocate $100,000 from the transportation budget to the capital stabilization, and those revised numbers will be reflected, of course. So these are just a couple pictures of what makes Minuteman Minuteman. You'll see over the next few slides. I know many of you have seen this over and over again, so thank you for indulging us. Our budget priorities reflect our values, our passionate teachers, our excited students, no matter if they're in the classroom or on the field or in their trades. And everything that we do is to move student growth and success forward. And you'll see that in everything in our budget. Now I'm going to hand it over to Nikki Andrade, who is going to give us lots of details that I know you're looking forward to.
Thank you, Superintendent Driscoll. Moving forward with the overall budget, it has remained consistent since the last school committee meeting at $32,461,056, which is 2.99% increase above the FY25 budget. Bringing it down a little bit further, we have our operating budget, which is now 5.56% above the FY25 budget, just about $25,504,611. That percentage has decreased because we moved and reallocated from the transportation bid to the capital stabilization. Our FY26 operating capital budget is approximately 1.3 million, and that decrease is a negative 21%. That's due primarily to our ESCO lease being fully paid in FY25. That was an old energy saving lease on the old school building. We'll talk about that further in detail as we continue. And our building project debt is 5.6 million, which is pretty level, just under 1% from FY25. We break this out as it's an important breakout for the 7 of our 9 member towns that have the debt exclusion. We finally closed our MSBA project in August of 2024, so our debt service payments should remain consistent going forward. No more temporary debt. Overall, our budget summary, our FY26 assessment to our member towns, $26,406,736. And as Superintendent Driscoll mentioned, the decrease from our last presentation of 3.34% is now 2.79% above FY25's budget. And this is the most important slide, our budget priorities or our budget drivers, what's really impacting the budget compared to FY25. Of course, our staffing are 3% as required per our CBA, plus the steps and levels for all of our teachers. We took a look at supplies and materials, in particular in the CTE programs, to ensure that they have the industry standards and all of the supplies that they need to run their programs in the best way for the students to really be learning hands-on. And as we've seen, there has been inflation and concern about tariffs. So we really wanted to make sure that this wouldn't affect our vocational programs. Our insurances is another big driver in this budget. Our health insurance, we were able to level fund, but our building insurance and our general liability insurance did increase due to prior year claims. Our transportation, as we noted, went out to bid in FY26, but that budget, those bids did come in January, and that is about a 5% increase from the prior year. Our OPEB, which is other post-employment benefits, is essentially if everyone that was working at Minuteman retired, how we'd have to help pay for their health insurance and their benefits. We will go into more detail in further slides, but there is a $300 increase to this line, in particular because our ESCO lease was fully paid in FY25. We had a Minuteman subcommittee that really looked at when the best time to increase the funding for this would be and not financially impact our member towns too hard. And this was the year that really seemed to make the most sense. We'll talk further about capital stabilization and other needs. And just a reminder that our debt service for the athletic fields will continue to be funded with our facilities revolving rental account. And moving forward, our capital stabilization account, we were able to reallocate some of the transportation funding to this account. Our FY25 contribution was $850,000 and our FY26 is $950,000. So that would be a $100,000 increase. Some capital needs total just around $150,000 include work to 20 Mill Street, which is where our animal science program is housed, including the bulkhead and roof work. We also have some sewer pump, wood bridge repair, HVAC repair, and gates that are needs of the building as well. And building this capital stabilization fund will position the district to maintain the potential use of the campus and really have the funding prepared to mitigate against future assessment increases. Talking a little bit further about OPEB, you can see here our unfunded liability. As I mentioned before, if everyone were to retire, the benefits and the cost that it would cost the district. Around 22 million, and our trust fund balance just shy of 1.5 million. So when the OPEB study committee got together, I believe it was the winter of 2021, they really looked and assessed when would be the best time to have this increase. And it really made sense in FY26 as the ESCO lease came off the books. So this will be our new kind of level or contribution, and we will increase by 5% each year to really try to help close the gap of that unfunded liability. Overall, our enrollment for October 1 is 669 students. You can see the trend is consistent with prior years. Our member towns in red are the majority of our school, whereas our non-member towns in green continues to decrease. You will see consistency between our October 1 numbers the last 2 years. Our incoming freshman class ended up being the exact number of our outcoming senior class. And you'll see the breakout further in the enrollment by town. So you'll see in this slide all of the different towns and the classes. So you'll see here our incoming class had 19 freshman students, whereas our outgoing senior class had the same. Our class of 26 and 27 did not have any member town students accepted. Our class of 2026 did have 2 transfers come in. But you'll see here.
They were, excuse me, they were all member town. We had no one from out of
Apologies.
district. Yep, it's
Thank
okay.
you.
It's okay. Yep.
But you'll see as the enrollment shifts, the decrease in the out of district students is also a decrease in our tuition or our revenue that we receive and our capital fees. So that does impact what we're able to offset our member town assessments with. And our FY26 preliminary assessments are broken out here. These did change slightly, as we mentioned, due to the minimum required contribution and the amount we were able to offset the member town assessments with. So these numbers have changed slightly as our total assessments to our member towns now is 2.79% increase from year to year. These numbers correlate to our 4-year rolling average strongly for our operating budget. So you will see that there is a correlation between the 4-year rolling average of the number of students that are enrolled in that town and the preliminary assessments. And just to wrap up our budget, again, we have the operating increase of 5.56%, really driven by the the primary budget drivers and that increase in our OPEB. Our capital line, again, decreased strongly due to the ESCO lease, and our building project debt remaining consistent, giving our overall total operating and capital budget of 2.99%. This is our breakout of non-assessment revenue, and this helps offset what is required from our member towns. So we had an increase, as Superintendent Driscoll mentioned, to our Chapter 70 and Chapter 71 aid based on the governor's budget that came out on January 22nd. Our prior year tuition and capital fee has remained consistent due to the fact that the number of out-of-district students year to year this year had remained the same at 37. In our facilities, rental revenue will offset that debt service payment. We will continue to fund out of our excess and deficiency fund the $650,000, which totals to just about $6 million we're able to offset the member town assessments with, which again is a 2.79% increase from prior year. And the assessment components broken out. This is how we break them out in the budget book by member town minimum required contribution, which is straight from DESE's Chapter 70 formula spreadsheet. Our transportation budget has increased, not only due to the bid that came out, but also truly funding homeless, foster care, and special education transportation as it's required as we've had an increased need in our district. You'll see the ESCO lease has fallen off, and our capital equipment lease has increased due to the capital stabilization and some of the other needs that we've discussed. And our building project debt has remained consistent. So that again wraps up our total assessments at 2.79% over the prior year. And we are happy to answer any questions.
Okay, very good. We'll accept questions from the public. I'll let Heidi, since she's kind of in charge, just remember that if you are called on, please, before you start your comment, mention your name, your community, and your relationship to the Minuteman School. So if any questions, Heidi, you are.
Thank you. I would ask if anyone has a question, if you can go to react and raise your hand so you'll pop up to the top of the Zoom. Nikki, would you mind closing down the screen share so we can see if anyone is waving, or if you're not sure how to raise your hand, you could also let us know that you'd like to speak by sending a chat or turn your camera on and wave, all the options. Okay, at this time, it looks like we don't have any questions, Jeff.
Okay, very good. In that case, I would like a motion to adjourn and remind the members that you have a second link. It's a different link for our meeting, which school committee meeting, which begins at 7 o'clock. So could I have a motion to adjourn the public budget hearing, please?
So moved.
Second,
Very good. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Pam?
Hamner Sackton, yes.
Linda Herbison Bolton, yes.
Steve Ledoux, Concord, yes.
Maggie Shenandover, yes.
Colleen Cabral Lancaster, yes.
Sharon Musto Lexington, yes.
Jeff Stulen Needham, yes.
Alice DeLuca Stowe, yes.
Okay, thank you everybody for attending, and school committee members. Of course, it's an open public meeting, so anybody is welcome to attend. I'll see you in about 10 minutes. Thank you all very much.